kombucha tea, which is a very good probiotic drink and very healthy for you. I'm eventually wanting to make it in this big jar with the tap so I can have a continual supply of kombucha, but I have to start off in the small one because I only have a little bit of tea from another batch. So we have to build up some SCOBYs and some tea so they can eventually get it into there. So today we're going to make a quart, or around a litre of kombucha tea. Now what you're going to need is you're going to need about 3 organic tea bags. I've used these Indian tea bags. You can use any black tea or any green tea, but I would say get the organic one so there's not any chemicals in them. You need some sugar. White sugar works very well, but I'm using here, it's called Panela Organic Evaporated Cane Sugar. Don't try to use the liquid sweeteners like honey and maple syrup and stevia, all those ones. Try to stick with an organic plain sugar if you can. You will not be consuming the sugar, the SCOBY will consume the sugar for you. So what's the SCOBY? The SCOBY, which stands for a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. Some people refer to it as a mushroom. This is what it looks like. And it's a form of yeast that's going to eat the sugar and make this beautiful drink for you. You also need some of the liquid from a previous tea, which is in here. I've got about half a cup in here, and that's why I can't make a big batch yet, because I would need a much greater amount of this tea from the other batch to make that. Okay, so the first thing we'll do, we'll start out, we'll just make the tea. I've got some boiling filtered water here. So you fill up the jar to about 2/3. You have to leave enough room to put in the extra tea and the SCOBY. And to that size, to that litre, you'll add about 1/4 cup of the sugar. Like I said, white sugar is fine, or organic white sugar. Sometimes you can get like an off-coloured organic white sugar. I'll put that in there. Seems like a lot of sugar, but you're not consuming that, the SCOBY is. Let's stir. The reason you start out with the hot water is to try and dissolve the sugar. So we get 3 tea bags. Place them in the liquid. Now we're just going to let that sit here until the tea cools down before we add the SCOBY. This is way too hot. It has to be cool before you can add the mushroom and the other tea. Make sure everything's covered up, because flies and fruit flies love this stuff. So we'll just sit that there, the tea. This is going to be sitting on a bench for about 5 to 7 days, and then it can actually go up to 30 days, but it depends on you like your drink, if you like it sweeter or you like it more sour, because the longer you sit it there, the more vinegary the taste is. And the more vinegary you taste, the better the nutrition for you. But you have to get it to a point where you're happy with the taste and it's doing what it's intended to do in your gut. Okay, so it's a beautiful probiotic drink, and I hope you follow along on this journey and enjoy making some kombucha tea. Here we are back. This is now nice and cooled. So what I need to do now is add the SCOBY. I've been sitting it here in a net so that the flies won't get to it. So place that in the jar. We can now remove the tea bags. And then we put the extra liquid, or the tea from the other brew. And when you make this, you'll reserve some of this to make the next one, and so on and so forth. Okay, now what's going to happen is this one may sink or float or be in the tea, and it's going to form another SCOBY on the top, which will fit exactly the same size as the jar, and that's what makes it fizzy underneath. So then we'll have 2 SCOBYs, and then we can do 2 of these, and we'll create another 2 SCOBYs, and then we can actually do another 4 until we get up enough to do it in this big one. Now with this big one, what you have to be careful of if you're going to do one with a tap is you need to make sure that the inside of this is plastic and not metal. You don't want the kombucha to come in contact with any metal. And also when you're making kombucha tea, use a glass jar. Don't use plastic and don't use metal, use glass. Then what we do with this, place the cloth on there and then a plastic band. And then we just sit that on the countertop, or I'm going to sit that on the stove. Somewhere that's nice and warm, they require heat. The hotter it is, the quicker it's going to ferment. The colder it is, the longer it's going to take. So this is going to sit then on a bench for 5 to 7 days, and then we'll come back and have a look how it's going.